Divine transformations. Witness 7 miraculous conversions and 3 answered prayers manifested. In the quaint village of Larkwood, nestled against rolling green hills, rays of sunlight filtered through the grand stained glass of St. Michael's Church. Whispers of miracles passed from ear to ear like secret prayers. On a chilly evening, Sarah, a devoted single mother of 2, pressed her trembling hands together, her heart heavy with struggles. As she fixed her gaze upon the flickering candle in their modest living room, hope sparked to life in the darkest corners of her soul. She implored St. Michael for guidance for hope. As shadows danced, her fervent prayers drifted skyward. For Sarah, each Hail Mary was a connection to something greater. Her children, Isaac and Lily, looked up at her with trusting eyes, innocent and full of faith. Outside, onlookers moved about, their skepticism palpable, their laughter lightly mocking the divine. "How can you believe in miracles?" they scoffed, drenched in logic. Yet, that very night, the village began to crack under the weight of their doubts. Timothy, the village skeptic who'd long denied the unseen, found himself wrapping his fingers around a rosary that once amused him. His heart, once steely, felt a warmth flooding his chest. "What is this?" he murmured, visibly shaken. Across the way, the jaded pastor Matthew stared into the depth of his abandoned faith. In the silence of his garden, he caught a glimpse of a butterfly dancing towards St. Michael's, its colors so vibrant, it took his breath away. For the first time in years, he fell to his knees, tears flowing like rivers of awakening. And in the throes of rebellion, Marissa, a teenager wrestling with her identity, heard whispers of voices in the night. Beneath the stars, she felt as if angels backdropped her turmoil, propelling her into the doors of the church. Could faith live in me? She wondered. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The miraculous transformations extended beyond Sarah's resolution to believe. Astonishing events swirled through Larkwood, and with every passing moment, the villagers held their breath, caught in a whirlwind of disbelief. As doubt clouded the air, signs of the divine erupted like flowers through concrete. And yet, amidst this fervent wave of conversions, Sarah sank into her fears. Would her pleas be answered? She glanced skyward, asking for assurance, only to be met with silence. More villagers were drawn into the embrace of St. Michael's, their hearts awakening to a rhythm of newly found belief. Before long, the pastor revived his ministry with passion. Timothy became a beacon of encouragement. Marissa led her peers in prayer, rebellion fading in the light of compassion. Bonds tightened and barriers fell away. An inexplicable presence gathered. Questions of trust danced in Sarah's mind as she longed for clarity. What did it all mean? The air thick with wonder, she felt threads of lives entwined, each tugging at her heart until she began to sense that the greatest miracle of all was just beginning to unfold. The following day dawned with a sense of palpable anticipation. The air itself felt electric with hope. The villagers of Larkwood gathered outside St. Michael's Church, drawn not only by curiosity but by an unseen force that beckoned them closer. Whispers turned into prayers, each voice rising like incense into the morning sky. Sarah, standing before her children, felt the tremors of faith resonate in her chest. Isaac grasped her hand tightly, while Lily twirled around her, filled with the innocence of belief. As the sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden glow upon the church, it felt, for the first time, like a new beginning. Inside the church, the atmosphere was transformed. The golden hues from the stained glass painted the pews with colors of grace. Matthew, standing at the pulpit, radiated a vigor that had long been missing from his sermons. "Brothers and sisters," he called out, his voice firm yet warm. "Today we gather not just to witness miracles but to become part of them. Our faith can change the very fabric of our lives. Timothy nodded in agreement, his heart buoyed by a sense of community he had long forgotten. No longer merely an observer, he stepped forward, ready to share his journey from doubt to belief. "I've been a skeptic for too long," he began, voice quivering with conviction. "But today I stand before you transformed. I invite you all to open your hearts. Embrace the divine." The villagers listened, some with tears glistening in their eyes, others nodding with understanding. Marissa, standing at the back, felt an awakening within her spirit. With every testimony shared, her walls came crashing down like the hardest stone, replaced by an unyielding light of grace. Encouraged, she took a step forward, feeling the communal energy surrounding her as she spoke. Her voice trembled. "I've struggled with who I am, but I am not alone anymore. Faith has entered my life, and I want more. I want to help others find their way too." The congregation erupted into applause, a chorus of encouragement that echoed through the very stone walls. In the midst of this awakening, Sarah stood tall with a renewed sense of purpose. Her heart raced with the mingled joy and uncertainty of what was to come. For the first time, she dared to envision her dreams unencumbered by doubt. Could her prayers transform not just her family, but the entire village? The thought caught like wildfire in her chest, igniting her spirit with fiery hope. As Matthew led the congregation in prayer, a hush settled over the crowd. Time seemed to suspend in that sacred moment, breaths mingling with prayers as they invoked a deeper connection with the divine. "Lord, show us the miracles waiting to be revealed. Let every heart here today experience the exceptional love of Christ. May faith shine through our brokenness." Suddenly, a breeze swept through the church, rustling the pages of the Bible lying open on the lectern, as if touched by an unseen hand. Gasps broke the silence. Everyone turned their eyes upward. The presence of the divine was undeniable, thrumming in the air like a gentle whisper. What awaited them beyond that moment of divine intervention? A new journey? A trial of faith? Even as doubts flickered like shadows, an undeniable truth emerged. Faith had begun its reign in Larkwood. The congregation felt an unexplainable urge to reach out, to touch and share this newfound spirit. But would they still hold onto this light when faced with their inevitable struggles? As Sarah looked around at her neighbors, hearts intertwining in belief, she felt the stirrings of a greater revelation. What would emerge from the depths of their shared faith? The answers blurred into the horizon. Yet one truth lingered unsaid. The true miracle was just beginning to unfold. As the echoes of applause faded, the church felt alive. The energy swelled like a warm tide, touching each heart with a promise of change. Sarah's mind raced. She could almost see the collective hopes laced within every soul present, weaving an intricate tapestry of dreams and desires long held in the shadows of doubt. Lily, still twirling, caught Sarah's eye. "Mama, can we help them?" she asked, innocence shining in her bright blue eyes. Her words stirred a deep longing within Sarah, a desire to do more, to be more than an observer in this awakening. Before Sarah could delve into her thoughts, Timothy rejoined the group, a newfound brightness radiating from him. "I thought I was lost," he confessed, leaning closer, "but I found strength in prayer. It's as if the weight of the world has lifted." Each word was like a balm, soothing old wounds. Matthew turned to Timothy with a knowing smile. "This is just the beginning, my friend. Together, we will create a place of healing, a haven for broken spirits." The congregation nodded, absorbing Matthew's vision as if it were a divine command. Hope sprang anew, and hands began to clasp together across the aisles, forming links that echoed unity. "Let us speak our prayers aloud," Matthew encouraged, urging everyone to share their hopes. "There's power in our voices. Let us be the vessels for God's love." One by one, voices rose, each prayer a spark in the dusk. From small desires for peace in homes to desperate calls for loved ones lost, the room transformed into a living prayer. Every earnest plea wrapped around the congregation like a cocoon, pulling them further into a communal spirit, uplifting, refreshing, and urging them closer to the divine. As Sarah listened, Tears flowed freely. She felt an overwhelming connection to every soul present. "I lift my prayer for healing," she said, her heart pounding as she spoke. "For every person struggling, may they find solace and strength." The murmurs of amen cascaded around the church, filling the air with a powerful resonance. It felt as if an invisible current surged through them, binding their intents and desires into something far greater than the sum of their parts. Just as the last amen whispered away, the doors of the church creaked open. A sudden rush of cool air swept in, mingling with the warmth of faith that had cocooned the congregation. Sarah glanced back, not sure whether to be alarmed or intrigued. A figure stood silhouetted against the light, and uncertain murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Who is it?" someone asked, as shadows danced uncertainly. The figure stepped forward, revealing a young man with a humble expression and eyes like kindling ready to ignite. He spoke soft but clear. "I've been searching for purpose. Please help me find my way." At that moment, something profound shifted in the atmosphere. The spirit within the church crackled with anticipation. Was this new arrival a sign? "Welcome, brother," Matthew exclaimed, arms wide. "You've come to the right place. Here is where healing begins." The villagers leaned in closer, intrigue written on their faces. Could their community carry the weight of yet another soul? Could faith truly transform someone who felt so lost? As the discussion sparked anew, Sarah contemplated the young man's story and felt the urge to dig deeper. The room buzzed with possibilities, but she knew that with each new arrival, new challenges would also emerge. What other revelations lay in wait within their community? As hearts joined in spirit and purpose, destiny beckoned them to explore avenues of kindness they had never contemplated. Would their faith be enough to guide both them and the newcomer? Only time would tell. The moment hung in the air, electric and full of promise. The young man stood at the threshold, as if balancing on the edge of a precipice. Sarah could sense his vulnerability, the weight of uncertainty pressed against him. Would the warmth of this community embrace him as it had her? "Your name, brother?" Matthew encouraged gently, stepping toward him with an openness that felt inviting. "Eli," he replied, voice trembling yet earnest. "I've wandered for so long, searching for something I couldn't quite name. I thought I might find it here." The sweetness of hope danced in every heart as others began to nod, connecting with his plight. Timothy stepped forward, his eyes sparkling with encouragement. "We've all felt lost at times, Eli. It's the searching that brings us together." "Exactly," Lily chirped, still twirling like a dervish. "We can help you find what you're looking for." Her innocent enthusiasm lit the room. Sarah felt a swell of pride for her daughter, who had seamlessly embraced the spirit of the moment. But also, a flicker of doubt stirred within her. Could their small community truly lift Eli from the shadows? As if sensing her hesitation, Matthew turned again to the congregation. "Brothers and sisters, Eli's journey echoes our own. Each of us bears a story that mirrors his in one way or another. Let us share our light. Let us reflect the warmth of faith that binds us." Hands shot up, eager to share. First, an elder spoke of regret and redemption. Another shared a battle with grief, how community had been the salve for wounded hearts. One after another, the stories flowed like a stream, nourishing and cleansing. Every voice echoes God's promise of renewal. Matthew continued, "We are not meant to walk in isolation. Together we can carry one another's burdens." Eli listened, absorbing every word as if they were drops of rain on parched soil. The struggle he carried felt lighter already with each shared experience. Then, a flicker passed over Sarah as she recalled her own journey of healing. The countless prayers whispered for strength and guidance. The community had carried her then, just as it could carry Eli now. "Eli," she found herself saying, stepping forward, "you are not alone. Together we will search until we uncover that purpose you seek." He looked at her, eyes wide with gratitude and disbelief. "But how?" "Through love, faith, and prayer," she replied, her voice steady now. "We can rise together with God's grace lighting our path." A holy hush enveloped the room, punctuated only by soft breaths of agreement and affirmations. Each heart beat in rhythm, resonating with a newfound purpose that felt bigger than themselves. The church wasn't merely a building. It was a living sanctuary, a collective heart yearning to mend the broken pieces of the world. "Let us pray for Eli," Matthew prompted, and at once, the room filled with an atmosphere of unity. Hands clasped, heads bowed, and a chorus of voices lifted in collective joy and expectation. Prayers echoing like ripples on a still pond. In that moment, something shifted again, celestial and palpable. A divine presence seemed to hover above them, as if a veil had thinned between realms. Eli closed his eyes, and his head fell forward, tears flowing unchecked down his cheeks. As prayers wrapped around him, he felt the strength of their collective faith enveloping him like a warm blanket. But amidst the stirring emotions, Sarah sensed something new began to awaken within her. Shifts were happening not only for Eli but for herself, too. Each heartbeat reminded her of the journey still ahead. Would she find the courage to confront her own fears and past uncertainties? Just as hope began to flourish, a sudden gust of wind swept through the open doors, echoing through the aisles, extinguishing candles and sending a chill down their spines. Gasps filled the space, uncertainty stirring once more. In that haunting moment, questions hung heavy in the air. What would this shift mean for Eli? What path lay ahead for Sarah and the community that had begun to open their hearts? Eli looked up, eyes glistening with newfound determination. "Whatever it takes, I promise to find my purpose," he vowed, voice steady. And just then, Sarah remembered something profound. The stirring whisper of the divine whispered deep within her soul. They were not just witnessing change, they were creating it. What divine revelations awaited them as they stepped boldly into the unknown? Would their faith shine bright enough to shine hope into the depths of darkness? Deep in the heart of the church, destiny awaited, calling them forward. The wind howled as if carrying a message from the heavens, wrapping around each person like a cloak of realization. Eli felt it in his bones, a stirring deep within, an awakening to the untapped potential he never knew resided within. The flickering shadows from the candlelight danced wildly, echoes of uncertainty calling out for clarity. As the room settled, Matthew, undeterred, raised his voice over the whispers. "Let us not fear this moment. Instead, let us embrace it. God often speaks in ways that shake us awake, urging us to see beyond the surface." His words felt like balm on fragile hearts. Eli straightened, a spark igniting in his eyes. "I may not know what comes next, but I feel something changing. All my searching, all my wandering, maybe it was to lead me here, to you." His conviction hung in the air, firm and bright, illuminating the space like the dawn breaking through the darkness. Timothy stepped forward, his voice resonating with wisdom. "Sometimes we feel lost, but it is in those very moments God is weaving paths we don't yet see. Trust the process, Eli. Trust the divine guidance." Eli nodded, absorbing each word. He knew this journey was more than just finding a place. It was about returning to himself. The tears that streamed down his face were not just for pain, but for hope, for renewal. Matthew caught Sarah's gaze, a look of encouragement passing between them. "This is a sacred time. Each one of us carries pieces of the divine light. Let us turn our hearts toward one another." One by one, hands reached out almost instinctively. Eli grasped the hands extended toward him, feeling the warmth of connection. Each hand was a thread, weaving him further into the fabric of the community. "Together, let us create a mosaic of faith," Sarah said softly but firmly. "Just like how our stories combine to form something beautiful, we can help one another rise." As the congregation repeated her words, a tapestry of voices formed, and the very air thickened with a sense of purpose. They understood that their diverse backgrounds, their journeys, and even their struggles were vital fibers that contributed to something far greater. The sound of laughter, soft and genuine, filtered through from Lily, who twirled again as if to demonstrate the joy that faith could inspire. "We're like a dance. Together we can create something amazing." Joy rippled through the crowd. They began humming, creating melodies that bounced off the walls, echoing the sentiments held deep in their hearts. The tumultuous wind outside was a reminder of the storms they had each faced. But here, amid this gathering, they felt anchored. But then, a deeper realization washed over Sarah. There was a gravity to this moment. "Eli," she quietly asked, "what if your journey has led you to show us something we still have to learn?" He paused, considering her words, his brows furrowing slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean your search isn't only about you. The openness you've shown might hold the key to a deeper understanding for us all," she replied gently. "What if the vulnerability you've had all this time leads to profound transformation for each of us?" Silence enveloped them as the weight of her words sank in. Their journeys intertwined, echoes of understanding radiating between them. Eli was no longer just a seeker. He was a guide, leading them toward uncharted territories of faith and acceptance. The atmosphere shifted, growing thick with the anticipation of unwrapping divine mysteries that lay before them. Sarah thought of the doors they might open, not just for Eli but for all who felt lost in the shadows. What if this is just the beginning?" Eli asked, voice full of wonder. As they pondered this revelation, a soft fizzle whispered at the edges of their hearts, promising change. Soon, they could feel that something beyond their understanding was unfolding, a purpose greater than any individual could grasp alone. Matthew stood tall, his voice steady and clear. "We stand on the brink of divine revelation. Will we embrace it?" The stir of hope pulsed through them, a collective breath drawn as they prepared to step into the mystery ahead. For amid their vulnerability, they knew the sacred light was ready to shine through their cracks. A new chapter was waiting to be written, a journey deepening in faith, awakening new life. What would manifest as they dared to delve deeper? What awaited them just beyond their fears, beyond their doubts, waiting to illuminate their paths? The air shimmered with expectancy as Eli felt the intensity of the moment wash over him. Each person around him was gripped by the same current of hope. They were held together by invisible threads, a divine tapestry in the making, woven by hands clasped in faith. As the humming grew into a more harmonious sound, Sarah's eyes were bright with inspiration. "Imagine the lives we could touch," she exclaimed, almost breathlessly. "If we embrace our stories, then others can find their own healing in our journeys." Eli took a deep breath, uncertainty lingering. "But what if my story isn't enough? What if my struggles aren't profound enough to spark change?" His voice trembled slightly, vulnerability creeping back in. Timothy stepped closer, eyes kind and piercing. "Eli, every story matters. Every tear shed waters the seeds of redemption. Sometimes, it is in our greatest shortcomings that the light shines the brightest. Look at the apostles, ordinary men called to do extraordinary things. The candles flickered as a gust of wind rattled the windows, but rather than instilling fear, it ignited their spirits. What if?" Eli whispered, the question burning brightly in his heart. "What if by sharing our truth, we could illuminate a path for others? It's risky, but perhaps vulnerability is the key." "Yes," Matt encouraged, his voice swelling with passion. "God calls us to be real, to lay bare our hearts. Our truths can inspire others to break their silence. Sharing is the beginning of healing." Eli glanced around the circle, faces glowing with courage. "I want to try. I want to see how our stories can intertwine." With a deep breath, he began to share his journey, the doubts, the darkness, and the flickers of understanding that had guided him. As each word tumbled out, it was as if chains began to break around him. The weight lifted from his shoulders. It was healing, a gift to both Eli and those who listened. The room absorbed his story, allowing the sacred to seep into every crevice of their hearts. Sarah squeezed his hand, eyes glistening. "Thank you for sharing. Takes strength to be vulnerable. This is what binds us, this sharing of burdens and joys." From the back, Lily chimed in with enthusiasm. "We should each tell our story. Let our wounds become windows for others to see the light." One by one, the congregation opened their hearts. Lives were laid bare like parchment unrolled. Tales of struggle met with recognition. Moments filled with laughter, tears, and divine connections threaded through their narratives. A rush of appreciation filled the air. It was the warmth of community, love, and spirit rising intertwined like a beautiful fabric. If we embrace this mosaic together, Timothy reflected, can we not see that God is turning our messy lives into miracles? Just then, the wind outside shifted again, this time softer, cradling the congregation with a warmth that felt like a divine embrace. Eli felt the flutter of wings within him, a paradoxical blend of peace and excitement. It told him the journey was shifting from mere sharing into something much deeper, a collective transformation. As they continued, Eli's heart soared with newfound hope. In the unity of their stories, a promise emerged. The magic of revelation whispered amongst them. The true beauty lay not just in individual journeys, but in the paths forged together. We have to keep going, Eli urged, his spirit ignited. Who else can we reach? Matthew's eyes sparkled as he nodded. Let us seek together then. But first, we must pray for the courage to face what lies ahead, to step into the light of the unknown. Eli felt the swell of anticipation. He understood now, they were no longer just seekers. They were becoming a beacon, promising change not only for themselves but for all who wandered through darkness. What wonders awaited them beyond sharing? What incredible adventures lay in store as they stepped boldly together into the great unfolding of a divine mystery? The journey was just starting, and indeed, they were ready to embrace it. As the flickering candles danced to a rhythm of their own, the energy in the room grew thicker. Each heart pulsed with anticipation, as if the very air were charged with sacred electricity. Eli looked around, his spirit still buzzing from the vulnerability they had just shared. It was a call to action, an invitation to something greater. Let us gather in a circle, Timothy suggested, his voice steady and inviting. We must pray together, but not just for ourselves. Let us pray for those outside these walls, for lives yet to be touched by our truth. With nods of agreement, they formed a circle, hands clasped tightly, a human chain of faith. The warmth spread through them. Eli could feel his heartbeat synchronizing with theirs, echoing a shared desire for something miraculous. Lord, Timothy began, eyes closed and head bowed, we come together as a family, seeking guidance. May our stories be vessels of hope, illuminating paths for those in darkness. Help us to connect our journeys to your divine will. As he prayed, a stillness enveloped them, wrapping around each individual, softening jagged edges of doubt. Eli felt the power of their unity flowing like a gentle stream, filling the well of his heart. He listened to the whispers of their prayer, threading through the fabric of his own thoughts, beckoning him deeper into the embrace of divine mystery. I want to pray too, Eli said, his voice breaking through the serene silence. God, give us the courage to be authentic. Help us to shine your light in our brokenness. May our scars become a map for others who wander in the darkness. Amen. A soft murmur of amen echoed back, and surprisingly, Eli felt words of confidence rise within him. He realized that true strength came from the shared surrender. No longer was he alone on this path. They were bound together, not just by their struggles but by the hope that arose from them. The moment was thick with divine promise. I feel different, Matt remarked, opening his eyes, a glow radiating from within. It's like we just scratched the surface of something beautiful. Eli nodded, excitement threading through him. Imagine if we set out together traveling not just for ourselves, but for those longing for truth and hope. Lily, with an animated spark in her eyes, leaned closer. What if we share our stories in the wider community? A gathering, a night of testimony. Their joyful chatter filled the space, dreams spilling over into tangible visions. Each of them shared more ideas, a flurry of possibilities igniting in the air like fireworks. The promise of adventure unfolded with each word spoken, each laugh shared. What if we reach out to the youth? Sarah suggested. So many are lost and need to hear that they're not alone. If they see us sharing, they might be willing to share their truths too. Timothy's voice rose above the excitement, affirming their dreams. We must ground this in prayer. Let us set a date, draw a plan, and let God lead it. He will handle the rest. Eli felt a wave of joy wash over him. He saw not just a plan forming but a movement, a community of believers learning together, growing together. It wasn't just about sharing stories anymore. It was about catalyzing transformation. As their meeting drew closer to its end, a stillness crept in again, an unspoken understanding settling among them. This was not just a change of plans. It was the start of a journey into uncertainty, into the wild adventure of faith. But what will happen when we take that leap? Eli pondered aloud, the weight of the question lingering in the air. What if our honesty stirs something deeper than we can control? As the group exchanged glances full of anticipation mixed with trepidation, Eli realized the answer was not for them to know. The beauty of their venture was shrouded in divine mystery. What consequences awaited them as they stepped out into the world? Which lives would they touch? Only time would unveil the unfolding of God's plans, tied to their stories, ready to pave paths beyond imagination. As the night wound down, a gentle hush descended over the group. Each heart was still thumping with hope, wrapped in the warm embrace of possibility. The soft glow from the candles flickered, as if in agreement with the sacred energy that filled the room. Eli glanced at each friend. It felt as if they were all caught in a divine web, their lives intertwined by a purpose neither could fully grasp yet. Tomorrow, Timothy began, we need to begin planning. A date, a venue. We'll need to spread the word, right? I know a couple of parks that are perfect for gatherings. Matt chimed in, enthusiasm spilling from his words. We can put up a board, maybe even a stage for sharing. Eli felt a rush of excitement, a flicker of inspiration igniting within him. What if we set aside part of the night for worship? Music can bring people in ways words sometimes can't. Absolutely. Lily agreed, her eyes shining. We need to create an atmosphere that invites people to feel God's presence, not just hear about him. As ideas flowed, Eli couldn't help but feel a wave of gratitude wash over him. He had spent so long feeling lost, yet here he was, alongside extraordinary individuals who understood the value of authenticity. Each idea sparked light in a room that had once been dim. When we share our stories, Sarah added, her voice gentle yet firm, we can help others see that their struggles are part of a larger tapestry woven by God, could inspire real change. Eli felt a lump rise in his throat at the thought. And when they see us, flawed, yet unafraid to share our truth, maybe it'll give them the safety to do the same, he said, emotion wrapped in every syllable. As they continued brainstorming, the thrill of their mission enveloped them like a breath of fresh air. There was a sense of divine purpose bubbling just below the surface, something that felt like an unquenchable fire. Eli could almost visualize the faces of those who would come, souls on the edge of despair waiting with bated breath for a message of hope. Timothy's voice brought everyone back to focus. Let us lift this up to God before we end tonight. He is the one guiding our steps. They settled back into a circle and clasped hands again, hearts aligned as they sought the Lord. Eli squeezed Lilia's hand, feeling the warmth spread throughout. Timothy offered another heartfelt prayer, this time asking for clarity and strength for the journey ahead. Each name mentioned in the prayer felt personal, each plea woven into the fabric of their gathering. After the final amen, an unusual stillness hung around them, a weightlessness as if the atmosphere itself had shifted. They were not just individuals but threads of a larger story being crafted by the master weaver. Do you feel that? Eli asked softly, looking at the group. Yes, came several breathless responses. It's like we've crossed the threshold, Matt said, eyes wide with realization. We're stepping into something way bigger than us. Don't forget, Sarah chimed in, we might face challenges we can't predict. But what if those challenges bring blessings we never expected? Eli nodded, feeling anchored by her words. Let us remember that every step is part of his plan, even the stumbles. Their hearts beat in rhythm, exhilaration mixed with a tinge of anxiety brewing beneath the surface. Eli stared into the candlelight, deep in thought. The path ahead held promise, yet shadows loomed, testing their resolve. As they began to gather their things, Eli couldn't shake the pull of the divine mystery that awaited them. What trials might they encounter on this journey? Would their truth resonate with those they sought to reach? And more pressing, who would God transform through their stories? They exited, stepping into the cool night air, unaware that the next chapter of their journey would challenge everything they thought they understood about faith, community, and divine intervention. The dawn broke, spilling hues of gold across the sleepy town. Eli stood at his window, watching the world awaken, and felt the weight of anticipation settle on his shoulders. Today was not just another day. It was the beginning of something new, something sacred. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, allowing the morning light to wash over him, igniting hope and purpose throughout his being. The church hall would soon become a melting pot of stories, faith, and love. It was where they come together, share their battles, and lift each other toward the heavens. Gathering with Timothy, Sarah, Matt, and Lily felt right a divine calling pulsing through them all. Eli's heart swelled as he recalled the dreams they had woven together last night, each thread representing the lives they might touch. His phone buzzed, breaking the momentary stillness. It was a message from Timothy. "Can't wait for today. Let us make a difference." Eli smiled and quickly responded with a thumbs-up emoji. The excitement in the air was tangible, pulling him from his quiet moment and stirring the rest of the team to action. They converged at the park under a bright blue sky, the air buzzing with a gentle breeze that whispered promises of what was to come. The space felt holy. Trees swayed like worshippers in unison, and the sun bathed everything in shimmering light. As they set up, Eli noticed a man sitting alone on a bench, his face clouded with sorrow. Tugged at Eli's heart like a siren call. Something within him urged to approach the stranger, as if an invisible thread pulled him forward. "Hey there," Eli said gently, moving closer. "Everything all right?" The man looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Just thinking," he replied, voice heavy with a weariness that echoed through the air. "Mind if I join you?" Eli offered, sliding onto the bench beside him. "I guess." The man paused, studying Eli's hopeful expression. "Mark, it's been a rough few months. Lost my job and feeling hopeless." Eli's heart ached for him. "I can't imagine how tough that must be. But you're not alone in this. We're opening our hearts to share our stories today, and I think you might find hope in them." Mark's face softened slightly. "I don't know if stories can really help. I used to believe, but life has knocked me down too many times." "Sometimes," Eli said, a surge of compassion rising up, "hope is found in the very cracks of our struggles. It's where God pours in his light, transforming our hurt into something beautiful." A flicker of interest sparked in Mark's eyes, as if a long-buried ember had ignited. "I don't know, maybe," he whispered, uncertainty tinged with curiosity. "Come see for yourself. It might change everything," Eli offered, gesturing toward the group gathering nearby as they stood to walk together toward the crowd. Eli glanced back to check on his friends. They were mingling, their laughter a beautiful music in the background. Each interaction felt divine, a reminder that they were all stepping carefully into this tapestry of connected souls. Timothy caught Eli's gaze and gave him an encouraging nod. There was a sense that the day held not just their stories, but also divine encounters waiting to unfold. Little did they know, Mark's presence among them was only the beginning. As they reached the others, Eli felt the unmistakable energy shift. What might God do today? Who else might arrive carrying burdens they didn't need to bear alone? The whirlwind of faith was manifesting, and it felt as if they were on the cusp of something monumental. Mark stood on the very threshold of transformation. Eli's heart pounded with anticipation. What path might God be revealing through their acts of love and sharing? Each story held the power to heal and awaken, and he couldn't help but wonder, how deep would the ripples of their faith reach? Little did they know, the true transformations were just about to begin. The sun hung low in the sky, radiating warmth that wrapped around the villagers of Larkwood like a comforting embrace. It was a beautiful day, one that felt orchestrated by the divine itself as they gathered in the park. There was an energy in the air that crackled with anticipation. Sarah, Timothy, Matthew, Eli, and Lily stood together, hearts beating as one, brimming with love and purpose. Everyone's spirits soared, entwined in the hope of new beginnings. As they arranged the space before them, chairs set in a wide circle, colorful banners fluttering in the breeze. Sarah took a moment to gaze around, savoring the sights and sounds. Children laughed, friends shared stories, and the fragrance of blooming flowers filled the air, mingling with the scent of fresh grass. She could feel it within herself, the transformative power of faith, alive and vibrant, ready to be shared. Timothy stepped forward, vibrant and full of faith. Brothers and sisters, today is not just a day of testimonies. It is a day of miracles. His words rang out, firm yet welcoming. Each of us has a story etched in us, a battle fought, a struggle overcome. Together, let us invite others into this sacred moment. Eli's heart raced at the sound of Timothy's voice. It was as if the crowd surged with irresistible energy, ready to embrace their mission. Let us open our hearts today, not just for us, but for those who feel lost. Eli chimed in with newfound confidence. Let our stories shine light into the shadows. Everyone deserves to know they are never alone. As the villagers gathered closer, Matthew took his place, authoritative yet warm. We're here to share, to listen, and to love. This is a space where our true selves can emerge without judgment. Let us be vessels of God's love. A chorus of amens rippled through the crowd, igniting joy and connection. Then, in an instant, the excitement shifted as Lily jumped up, her lively spirit captivating all. Can we start with a song? She suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. With unanimous agreement, a gentle melody filled the air, voices harmonizing, hearts uniting. The music danced among the trees, each note a prayer, lifting everyone's spirits higher as the final note rang out. Sarah instinctively opened her heart. I want to share my story first, she said, stepping forward into the circle, a smile spilling across her face. For so long, I carried burdens alone, fear, doubt, and uncertainty weighing me down. But through prayer, through this community, I found strength. I realized my struggle was part of a greater purpose, a tapestry woven by God. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she spoke. When my daughter Lily wraps her arms around me, I feel the presence of love. When my friends showed me the path back to faith, I felt reborn. You see, each trial shaped me. I pray that my journey lights the way for someone else. Cheers echoed through the gathering, flooding Sarah's heart. She stepped back, her heart swelling with gratitude as smiles filled the circle. Eli felt emboldened by her words. My heart is full of hope today, he began, eyes shimmering. I too have wandered aimlessly, plagued by insecurities. But standing here, I feel a strong connection to every one of you. I know this journey is just as much about you as it is about me. Through vulnerability comes strength, and sharing our truth can ignite profound change. As Eli spoke, a quiet man at the edge of the circle listened intently. It was Mark, the man Eli had met earlier. Tender expressions crossed his face, and as Eli locked eyes with him, hope flickered. Then, inspired, Mark stood. I never thought my pain could be a part of something beautiful. I've been lost for too long, but I can feel the warmth of this community. You've given me the courage to share. I lost my job, my dreams, but today I see. Maybe those struggles reveal a purpose. Perhaps they can connect me to others who fight similar battles. The murmurs of encouragement swelled from the crowd, and in that moment, Mark felt something inside him shift. The heaviness began to lift. His voice became stronger. As he continued, I want healing for myself, for my family, and I believe it starts here. Bravely spoken. Lily's joyous cheer filled the air, and once again, hearts were knitted tighter in love and faith as stories flowed. More of the villagers shared their experiences, tales woven throughout lifetimes. Each narrative echoed like a heartbeat, some full of laughter, some shadowed by tears, but all resonating with a common truth of connection. The atmosphere thickened with the essence of the divine. Each voice shared hope, healing, and testimonies of transformation. Every heart, touched and open, felt the collective power span beyond them as they prayed together at the closing of this shared experience. An undeniable stillness enveloped them. Each prayer rose as incense, mingling with tears of joy, lifting their hopes skyward. Lord, Timothy voiced, open doors of healing. Let our stories reach those longing for home. A soft breeze rustled through the trees, carrying their prayers upward, and the sun's rays shone brighter, bathing them in golden light. Eli breathed deep, sensing the extraordinary grace surrounding them. This is it, he whispered, a spark igniting in his soul. Faith is a journey we take together. As the community began to disperse, humming with joy and intertwined destinies, Eli turned to Sarah and the group. We have planted seeds today. Let us continue to nurture them, he said. Mark smiled, now part of their family, hope alive in his heart. I'll be here, he promised, and I'll share this light. At that moment, the day wasn't merely filled with stories. It held the promise of transformation, a divine masterpiece in the making. Together, they walked into the sunset one step at a time, into the lives yet to be touched by their faith-filled testimony. This was not just a close. This was a divine beginning. A vibrant tapestry had been woven, and the journey towards manifestation and miracles stretched on, inviting everyone to join. Now, dear brothers and sisters, be the light. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like immediately to feed the algorithm and spread hope. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this miraculous ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of faith and hope. Together, let us spread his love like wildfire.